Did he ask for the job?
This was not a job I don't think anybody asks for. I'm sorry.
No, but that's not the question I asked you. I said, did Jack Smith ask for the job?
He did not ask me for the job, no.
Did he convey through someone else that he wanted the job?
I would be surprised if that were the case, but
But you don't know?
No, I don't know.
So he may have?
I can only tell you what I know. I chose him because he had a record of impartial career experience as a prosecutor. That's why he was chosen.
Was it impartial when he went after Governor McDonnell?
He was a member of
He was after Governor McDonnell. That case gets appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court unanimously said it was wrong and overturns the conviction. Justice is no longer blind in America. Today it's driven by politics. Example number one is President Trump. Bonnie Willis opens an investigation into President Trump in February of 2021, but doesn't bring charges until after he announces he's running for president. Alvin Bragg said, quote, I cannot see a world in which I would indict Trump and call Mr. Cohen as a prosecution witness. But that's exactly what he did after President Trump announced he was running for president. And the Attorney General names Jack Smith special counsel 3 days after President Trump announces he's running for president. 4 months earlier, before Jack Smith is named as special counsel, the Biden Justice Department, under Attorney General Garland, approved a raid on President Trump's home, something we've never witnessed in this great country. This action broke every norm in our justice system. Don't take my word for it. Former Assistant Director in charge of the Washington Field Office of the FBI, Stephen D'Antuono, said this in his deposition to our committee. 4 standard processes were not followed. The Washington Field Office ran that raid, not the Miami Field Office. The operation was run out of headquarters, excuse me, not from an assigned U.S. Attorney's office, as is customary. The FBI didn't seek consent before doing the raid, and the FBI refused to wait for President Trump's attorneys to be present before the search was conducted. And there's Jay Bratt. Mr. Bratt's on the special counsel team. He met with Biden White House officials multiple times, including just weeks before Jack Smith indicts former President Trump. But what's most troubling is what Mr. Bratt did to Stanley Woodward. Mr. Woodward represents one of the defendants in the documents case. He was summoned by Mr. Bratt to department headquarters. At the meeting, Mr. Bratt informed Stanley Woodward, if your guy flips, if your client changes, it could help your chances for that judgeship you are interested in. Unbelievable. And of course, there's the fact that Jack Smith changed the sequence of the documents he seized in the raid of the president's home. Had to file this with the judge and with the court. The physical documents don't match the scanned documents. Many people call this tampering with evidence. Jack Smith mishandled the very documents he charged President Trump with mishandling. Remember what Special Counsel Hur found. On page 1 of his report, he said this, President Biden knowingly kept classified information. President Biden knowingly disclosed classified information. And then on page 231, he told us why President Biden did it. Page 231, quote, Joe Biden had strong motivations for ignoring the procedures for classified information because he was writing a book for which he got paid $8 million. President Trump gets charged for allegedly mishandling documents, but Jack Smith can mishandle documents, no problem. Joe Biden can mishandle documents, no problem. Never forget, this is the same Department of Justice who made David Weiss the special counsel in the Hunter Biden case. After Mr. Weiss spent 4.5 years investigating President Biden's son and had the sweetheart deal he took to the court laughed out of court, he gets named special counsel. This is the same Department of Justice whose Civil Rights Division has done nothing to address the attacks on Jewish students at college campuses. This is the same Department of Justice who can't tell us who planted the pipe bombs on January 6th, who leaked the Dobbs draft opinion, and who put cocaine in the White House. And this is the same Department of Justice who told us in a memo from the Attorney General himself that moms and dads at school board meetings should be investigated. Same Department of Justice who said pro-life Catholics are extremists. The same Department of Justice who censored Americans in the same Department of Justice who retaliated against whistleblowers who came to this committee and told us about these wrongdoings. So, Mr. Garland, we're glad you're here today. We've got lots of questions. Many Americans believe there's now a double standard in our justice system. They believe that because there is. And we're going to have lots of questions about that problem. Mr. Garland, why Jack Smith? Why'd you pick him?
Well, I've said at the time I appointed Mr. Smith, I explained he was independent. He was a longtime career prosecutor with.
But there are probably other people who you would describe as independent, longtime career prosecutor. Why did you pick? This is probably the most high-profile special counsel investigation, maybe in American history. You're going to be investigating a former president, a candidate for president, and leading in all the polls, and you pick Jack Smith, most important selection maybe ever made from Attorney General when you come to a special counsel. I just want to know why you could have picked
well, I'm telling
former
you
AGs, deputy AGs, U.S. attorneys. You got all kinds of lawyers in this town, but you picked Jack Smith.
All the people you just mentioned were would be political appointees. I appointed somebody who was not a political appointee, somebody who was independent, nonpartisan, with a record of career experience as a prosecutor. That seemed to me the perfect resume for making that kind of.
He was a guy. Had to bring him back from Europe. He worked at the ICC, worked at the World Court. He was the best pick for the most high-profile investigation ever.
He was independent. He was nonpartisan. He had never held a political office. He was never appointed in a political office.
Was he your first choice?
He had a long career as a career prosecutor.
Was he your first choice?
I'm not going to go into the questions.
Did you know him before you picked him?
I did not.
You never worked with him?
I did not.
Did you meet with him prior to announcing his selection and telling him what was going on?
Of course I did.
What happened in that meeting?
I met with him. I asked him if he would be willing to do this. We talked about my understandings of the role of this office, which are on the public record. That's all.
Did he ask for the job?
This was not a job I don't think anybody asks for. I'm sorry.
No, but that's not the question I asked you. I said, did Jack Smith ask for the job?
He did not ask me for the job, no.
Did he convey through someone else that he wanted the job?
I would be surprised if that were the case, but
you don't know?
No, I don't know.
So he may have?
I can only tell you what I know. I chose him because he had a record of impartial career experience as a prosecutor. That's why he was chosen.
Was it impartial when he went after Governor McDonnell?
He was a member of the...
He was after Governor McDonnell. That case gets appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court unanimously said it was wrong and overturns the conviction?
He was in the public integrity section of the Justice Department, a career position. They made the decisions they thought were warranted, and we respect the decision of the Supreme Court.
Did the fact that he was interested in going after the very people who were targeted by the IRS about a decade ago, did that have any influence on your selection? Okay, let's put up this slide here. This is from Jack Smith to some other folks in the Justice Department, and it says, could we ever charge a conspiracy to violate laws of the U.S. for misuse of such nonprofits to get around existing campaign finance laws? Jack Smith was looking to prosecute the very people who were targeted by the Obama IRS.
I don't know. You have excerpts from an email I've never seen. You should know that
IRS Commissioner Sarah, I'm just asking, did this weigh into your decision? Did you know about this?
No,
what Jack Smith was trying to do?
I also don't know if it's true now.
IRS Commissioner Sarah Ingram oversees this from Jack Smith himself. Let's discuss tomorrow, but maybe we should try to set up a meeting this week. And here's the response. Here's the response. You didn't get your meeting with Miss Ingram from the IRS, but she's sending the head of the exempt organizations, Lois Lerner, who's known to us. So Jack Smith meeting with Lois Lerner, looking for ways to prosecute the very people who were victims of the Obama IRS. And I'm just asking, did that factor in your decision to name Jack Smith as special counsel?
I didn't have any idea about the things.
Didn't know about that?
No, and I don't know whether they're true now by looking at this.
But they're definitely true, but you didn't know about it. But this guy was so important, you have to bring him from Europe back here to go after President Trump, name him as a special counsel. Do you regret the pick?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Do you regret picking him?
No, I do not regret picking him.
Well, prosecutors aren't supposed to tamper with evidence, and it looks like that's what he did. He changed the sequence of the documents that he seized from Mar-a-Lago.
I'm sorry, that's a false characterization, but that is ongoing.
Here's what he said to the court, Mr. Attorney General. There are some boxes where the order of items within the box is not the same as in the associated scans. I mean, he said it. I didn't say it. He told the court that.
Now you're asking me to comment on a discovery dispute that's ongoing in a court. I don't know the facts of it, and I'm not going to comment on it.
No, this is from Jack Smith filing with the court. He admitted to the court that they tampered with the evidence. He mishandled the very documents he's charging President Trump with mishandling. And I'm just asking, do you regret picking this guy as the special counsel in the most important special counsel investigation probably in American history?
I'm sorry, I did not hear the words tamper in the statement that Mr. Smith filed. He did not use those words.
Well, let me ask it this way. Are you supposed to change the order of the documents that you seize and the physical documents don't match up with the scanned documents? Are you supposed to do that as a prosecutor?
This is a matter in dispute, in discovery in that court, and I'm going to leave it for the district court to make a determination. After
I would just say one last thing. It's not in dispute. This is what he said in the court filing. Jack Smith's team said that to the judge in the court. By the way, this case is now basically on hold because they've screwed up so many things.
Again, I don't know whether your description of the facts are true or not true, and I'm not going to intrude in a decision in a district court.
I'm going to go back to where I was, Mr. Attorney General, a few minutes ago. I want to read from this Politico's news story from 1 week ago today. I just want to read two sentences. It's the first two sentences in the article. The Justice Department has agreed to settle a long-running litigation stemming from a decision in 2017 to release to the media text messages between two former FBI employees involved in the probe of Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. Next sentence. In a notice filed with two federal judges in Washington on Tuesday, the Justice Department said it had reached settlements of legal claims that fired FBI agent Peter Strzok and former FBI attorney Lisa Page brought in 2019, alleging that the disclosure violated their privacy. So again, I just want to be clear that the department is getting ready to pay Peter Strzok and Lisa Page some money. Is that accurate?
I wasn't aware that we'd announced it. All I can say is we reached settlements based on our litigators' assessment of whether we can win the case and how much it will cost if we lose the case. That's the way we decide on reaching settlements.
Just to be clear, the guy who texted Peter Strzok, who was involved in the spying on President Trump's campaign, who was then involved, worked on the Mueller investigative team, and sent this text message to Lisa Page, just went to a Southern Virginia Walmart. I could smell, in all capitals, I could smell the Trump support. That guy's going to get tax dollars from the American people?
That case is he brought a case under the Privacy Act. The question is, did the Justice Department violate the Privacy Act?
Lisa Page said this in a text message to Peter Strzok. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? With a question mark. Peter Strzok's response, no, he's not. We'll stop it. And these two individuals are going to get a windfall of money from the American taxpayers because you decided that's the right thing to do?
The Privacy Act doesn't distinguish between people we like and people we don't like, information we like and information we don't like. If somebody in the government discloses personal information protected by the Privacy Act, that's the way the law is.
Jeepers, you can go after a president and you get rewarded for doing so, according to the Justice Department.
It's not a question of reward, it's a question of the government paying for violating the law.
They're going to get a lot of money, and I know that this is what they said. We know what they were up to.